Everybody loved the beer, and it just grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when Prohibition come in, they had to shut it down. And then when they started up a bigger brewery across the road, which was 1933, I think it was, and made a bigger one and could handle more barrels and more beer.
Yeah.
And more sales.
And it's amazing, in many ways, the Schmidt family put Olympia on the map.
Yeah.
And Olympia was, the state capital, but that was only kind of a small potatoes deal compared to the brewery.
Yeah, right.
I know that old timers say that when the brewery whistle blew, you knew that the stores would reopen and downtown, and everybody was coming home, and
right.
Time to go shopping.
It was time to go in the morning and quitting time, lunchtime. Everybody lived by that whistle.
Well, what a historic location to be right here by Tumwater Falls and have the amount of history that revolves around the falls is just incredible. The first settlers and Michael T. Simmons and the wagon train coming in here, and how those people scattered out and really developed this community. But the Schmidt family was a big part of that.
The biggest part of it, I think. And they settled the whole thing on here, and everything took off from here. We got the Tumwater Falls Park, which they started back in 1962, I think it was, and then they built the golf course, and that was another big thing.
What about the celebrities? In the 60s, this place was booming, and they were bringing people in here. And Bing Crosby's grandparents lived right down the hill here, and
right.
They restored that house, the Crosby house. What about these celebrities you brought in? Who'd they bring in here?
We had Bing Crosby brought in, several movie stars, because they threw parties. The brewery threw parties for all of this, and they brought in all these movie stars for the people that worked here at the brewery. It was a fun time in the 60s when you had a lot of stuff like that going on. It was just a good time. We had dancing down there, and they had all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot of benefits that are enjoyed today by families that have a developmentally disabled child or a child with autistic or other problems because of the advocacy provided by the Schmidt family and others. They really made a difference in early laws in our state to make things better for disabled people and handicapped people.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job on all of that.
It's a legacy,
yeah.
Real legacy.
And I'm glad that just goes on and on and on. It keeps on going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a great legacy that you've helped create here, and it's a beautiful spot in our state of Washington, and it's a great place to come and enjoy.
Yeah, well, you got the Puget Sound and everything here. You don't need to really go anywhere else because you got everything right here to enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's a very beautiful surroundings and everything.
Well, thank you for your work. Thank you. It's a pleasure talking
you're welcome.
to you. Thank you. Another remarkable thing is the brewery hired well-known artists who created the really advertising for the brewery, but the whole collection has been saved and goes on display quite frequently here at the Schmidt House. It's another gift that the brewery legacy leaves for all of us.
Today, I'm Communications Director Brianna Aho for Governor Ferguson's office. I'm just going to briefly run through the speakers you're going to hear from today, and then we'll get started. So first, you'll hear from Governor Bob Ferguson, then Mayor Ann McInerney-Ogle from Vancouver, then Washington State Representative Jake Fye, the chair of the House Transportation Committee, then Sam Dessou, General Manager of TriMet, then Heather Kurtenbach, Executive Secretary of the, I think we switched that back. Yep, sorry. Then Robert Camarillo, Executive Secretary of the Oregon Building Trades, then Heather Kurtenbach, Executive Secretary of the Washington State Building and Construction Trades Council. I'd also like to recognize some of our guests. We're joined by many union members, project partners, and other supporters, as well as other Oregon and Washington legislators, and we appreciate all of them being here today. We also have Julie Meredith, Washington State Transportation Secretary, and Lisa Sumption, Interim Director of the Oregon Department of Transportation, and Carly Francis, Interim IBR Program Administrator. They'll be available to help answer any questions when we're done. With that, Governor Bob Ferguson.
Thank you so much, Brianna. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you arriving today and joining us for this occasion. The first thing I want to say is we're going to build this bridge. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. So there is just far too much at stake for any other option. Replacing this 109-year-old bridge with a modern structure is essential to Washington and Oregon. It's critical for our economy, it's critical for public safety, and it's critical for the thousands of good-paying jobs that come with this project. I would first want to mention Governor Kotek could not be here with us today. As I was chatting with folks beforehand, before coming out here, she's been obviously a huge partner on this. She and I have had many conversations about the bridge. Our teams are working closely together, and I just really appreciate her partnership. We have a joint statement that has been released or will be released shortly that makes clear how committed each of us are to this project, and we really appreciate her commitment to this. More than 140,000 vehicles use the Interstate Bridge every single day. The current bridge, however, is not built to modern standards and is at risk of collapse in an earthquake. According to the environmental impact statement, quote, this collapse potential is due to the fact that hundreds of timber bridge support piles sit within loose sand that can liquefy during an earthquake. That's unacceptable. Like any major project of this magnitude, there's going to be good news and bad news along the way. Recently, we got some great news. The U.S. Coast Guard approved a fixed span for a replacement bridge instead of requiring us to build a movable span like the current bridge. That movable span, which currently opens and closes for river traffic, causes backups on the highway. Additionally, based on recent projections, a movable span bridge would have cost an additional $1.7 billion compared to a fixed span bridge. My team and I traveled back to Washington, D.C. to personally make the case for a fixed span bridge directly to the Coast Guard. I also met personally with multiple river users to secure signed agreements which pledge their support for the fixed span bridge. More than 50 organizations and businesses wrote letters of support to the Coast Guard, and we appreciate each and every one of them for their assistance. The Coast Guard, of course, recently announced their support for a fixed span bridge, which is a huge step forward for this project, and we deeply appreciate the Coast Guard's involvement in this matter. We also recently received some not so good news. Not surprisingly, costs have gone up since our last projection several years ago. I'm here today with key project partners to make it clear that we are all committed to moving forward with a core set of projects to replace our bridge with a modern fixed span structure, including light rail. Fortunately, we have enough funding in place to keep up our momentum and start construction on these core projects. Construction will start in 2028. I'm going to personally be doing everything I can to ensure that this happens. The Interstate Bridge Replacement Program today released updated cost estimates. The program now estimates that it will cost $7.65 billion to do the following: replace the northbound and southbound spans of the bridge, connect the new bridges to I-5, and extend light rail to Vancouver. This estimate reflects rising costs due to inflation and cost increases in the construction industry. Importantly, it also provides a significant cushion for unexpected developments, such as more tariff volatility. The IBR program currently has $5.5 billion available state and federal funding to replace the bridge. Additionally, the program is pursuing, as you probably know, an additional $1 billion in funding through the Federal Transit Administration's Capital Investment Grant Program. As many of you know, the IBR program also includes improvements to the 5-mile corridor on either side of the bridge, including 7 interchanges, replacing the North Portland Harbor Bridge, and extending light rail to Evergreen Boulevard. We will continue to work toward the larger corridor down the road in phases as funding becomes available. But our focus right now is getting this bridge built, along with the other core aspects of it. The program will hire a contractor in 2027 to advance the design. During that design process, we will further refine the project and identify savings. I'll be very involved in that to identify savings in this. I've talked with folks beforehand. I'm very involved in the details on this project and working hard as a relatively new governor who's been on the job for, I think, 14 or 15 months to make sure that I'm pushing my team in the best way possible to make sure we're advancing this as quickly as we can and as efficiently as we can. There are 2 things that are certain. we must replace this bridge. And number two, delaying a major project has never made costs go down. Senator Paul Harris, who's here from Washington State, said as we were just meeting, the cheapest bridge you're going to build is the one you start today, and that is true, and that is true. And I may be using that quote, Senator, many times over the coming years, but it is really, really true. You know, the delays have not helped us with this project, quite the opposite. And so I'm determined to get this project going. Governor Kotek and I are both committed, and many, many partners. I deeply appreciate them sticking with this project and being here today, including, I want to emphasize, our congressional delegations, who have been true partners in making sure this project is going forward. That collaboration served us well in supporting a fixed-span bridge from the Coast Guard, which was huge for us, and shows what's possible when we work together to advance this project and a common goal. With that, I'm going to turn to Mayor Ann, who will speak next. And again, we'll have time for questions after all the speakers share their remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Having the governor down in Vancouver means that we have a project and we're moving forward. But I'd also like to thank our senators and representatives, both from Oregon and Washington, and all of our friends from Oregon. We lowered the bridge so they could all come up. The Interstate Bridge is more than just a piece of infrastructure. It serves as Paul Harris would say, our house, but it's the doorstep into Vancouver. It might be coming into the state of Washington, that opportunity for everyone to see we can do big projects. As the governor pointed out, it was built in 1917. It's outdated, it's vulnerable to earthquakes, and it was built on timber pilings down in the sand. We like to say it's like pretzels and chocolate pudding. As we look at this is one of the biggest opportunities ahead of us, and it'll show how our region moves and grows for generations to come. The replacement bridge, it will be the opportunity, no more lift bridge. We had a meeting here yesterday. The bridge went up and down with 3 times. As we look at it, it'll be seismically resilient and allow the economy throughout our entire region to continue to move. $30 million a day goes across that bridge. The full vision of the program is a historic investment. It connects not just Vancouver with Portland, Oregon with Washington, but it also connects downtown Vancouver with the historic reserve. That's an opportunity that hasn't happened in more than 75 years. The City of Vancouver and its dedicated staff are committed to working with ODOT, WSDOT, and all of our partners. This is an opportunity to also see that final, we hope, final supplemental EIS. We've been waiting for that for over 2 years. So we'll look forward to the amended record of decision that allows everyone to move into phase 1, that phase of construction of the bridge and those items that the governor pointed out. But we're also looking forward to moving forward with the extension of light rail into our library square. So Sam, we'll see you at the station to cut that ribbon. The path forward helps maintain the momentum that we so desperately needed. Today is the first step of moving that into reality. The partnership that we've been developing, building out that full vision of a 5-mile corridor. Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you very much. I'm State Representative Jake Five from Tacoma and chair of the House Transportation Committee. My first year in the legislature was 2013, and that was a dark day for a dark period of time for getting this bridge built. So when the governor asked if I could be here today, I was so delighted and excited that finally we're going to get a bridge across this river. It's a highest priority for our transportation system. I-5 is so important to trade, economic development, and I just wanted to highlight, I see Senator Gorsuch here and Representative McLean, as well as Senator Cleveland and Representative Wiley. This has been years in the making on the legislative side of things, including providing $1 billion for this project from the state of Washington and $1 billion from the state of Oregon. This is the most important infrastructure project the state is going to do in the next several years. I just very excited to be here and share this moment. And thank you, Governor Ferguson, for your work to get this done and the priority you made this project. And the legislature will be with you to make sure we have the money to get this project done. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Governor Ferguson, for bringing us all together today. My name is Sam Dessou. I'm the General Manager of TriMet, and on behalf of TriMet, I want to say how proud we are to be a partner on the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program, and also to be here with the IBR program and our fellow partners to talk about the importance of replacing the Interstate Bridge. This project represents years of collaboration between communities, agencies, two states working together towards a shared vision for the future. TriMet has been a program partner since 2019, when Oregon and Washington committed to restarting the work to replace the aging I-5 bridge connecting Portland and Vancouver. Since then, thousands of people across the region have contributed to shaping a project that will serve our communities for generations to come. This program is it's more about than replacing an aging bridge. Transit is an essential part of the solution for those challenges. When we invest in transit, we are investing in the economic vitality and livability of the entire region. Studies have shown that for every $1 invested in public transit, about $5 is returned to the economy through increased business activity, improved mobility, and stronger communities. The communities of Portland and Vancouver share a long history of connection through commerce, through culture, and common values. So extending light rail across the Columbia River will create faster and more reliable connection between the two cities. It will provide a one-seat ride from Evergreen into downtown Vancouver to downtown Portland, the Moda Center, shopping, healthcare, and so much more, while also connecting riders to more than 60 miles of existing light rail service, linking people to jobs, to schools, to Medicare, and opportunity across the region. The extension will also strengthen the region's transit network by connecting C-Tran and its growing Vine Bus Rapid Transit system, expanding access for residents across Vancouver and Clark County. And for Vancouver's growing waterfront district, transit will make it easier for people from Portland to walk, roll, and experience destinations like the beautiful Grant Street Pier, all while reducing congestion and supporting sustainable growth. This project will also create meaningful benefits for our communities along the corridor. Residents of Hayden Island will have a new mobility options, which with the ability to travel north to downtown, Vancouver, or south into Portland without having to drive. Workers will have more reliable communities. Businesses will benefit from stronger regional connections. The recent federal investment of $100 million in support of light rail underscores how important this effort is, not just to Oregon and Washington, but to the nation. Projects like this only succeed because of strong partnerships. At TriMet, we remain committed to supporting ODOT, WSDOT, and all of our partners that you see here behind me as we continue to advance the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. Transformational change rarely happens all at once. What matters now is that we have the opportunity to get shovels in the ground and begin turning this long-term vision into reality. Together, we are building more than a bridge. We are building a transportation system that connects people, supports economic growth, and strengthens our future of an entire region. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Robert Camarillo. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Oregon State Building Trades. We represent thousands of Oregonians and Washingtonians that make up our 31-member unions and our 6 with 6 regional local councils. First, I want to extend my gratitude to Governor Ferguson for his leadership and dedication to the Washington building trades, as well as his vision for the IBR project. I also want to thank Governor Kotek for her continued support and leadership. I want to thank her transportation advisor, Kelly Brooks. I want to thank the Oregon delegation that's here today, Senator Gorsuch, Representative McLean, and some of the other Washington electeds. Thank you for your continued support, and not appreciate you all being here. Thank you to Washington State Building Trades Executive Secretary Heather Kurtenbach for her partnership and continued leadership on this effort. Now that we have the green light to begin the next stages of the bridge, there's no time to waste. As we see unemployment rates in the skilled trades continue to rise in Oregon, reaching double digits, some as high as 19 to 20%, and we continue to separate from the national average, I'm here today to say that we need jobs and we need them now. The IBR project is a clear example of how partnering with the building trades can boost the broader impact of a major infrastructure project. In fact, most recently, we helped secure and continue to preserve Oregon's 4 installments of $250 million to equal our state's $1 billion total investment. A project of this size is perfect for a project labor agreement. A PLA will ensure that thousands of skilled trades workers on this project are paid fairly, receive family-sustaining benefits, and are treated with dignity, with particular focus on recruiting and training workers from historically underrepresented communities, including veterans and women. In addition, our apprenticeship programs can rely on stability of IBR jobs in the future, allowing us to admit more people from our wait list. These apprentices who earn while they learn are vital to the success of large-scale projects like the IBR. A project of this size does not only benefit the state of Oregon and Washington, but the entire West Coast. Again, the tens of thousands of skilled trade union workers that we represent collectively between Washington and Oregon building trades are eager to get started working on this once-in-a-generation project as soon as possible. I can't say this forcefully enough. Let's get to work. Thank you on behalf of all Oregon building trades members.
Good afternoon. I am Heather Kurtenbach, and I am the Executive Secretary of the Washington State Building Trades. Thank you, Robert, for your remarks. The replacement of the Interstate Bridge is more than just a transportation project. It's a once-in-a-generation investment in working people and the future of our region. For over 100 years, the bridge has connected the economies of Portland and Vancouver, but today, as we all know, it's outdated, congested, and vulnerable. Replacing it is about building infrastructure that actually meets the needs of the community and our economy. Projects like this don't just build bridges, they build middle-class lives, as Robert said, and I just want to reiterate, this project means thousands of jobs across Washington and Oregon. It means iron workers, electricians, laborers, operating engineers, cement masons, sheet metal workers, on and on and on. It means them putting their skills to work building something that will serve this region for generations. And it also means real opportunity for the next generation. Our registered apprenticeship programs open doors for people who want a career that they can be proud of, where they can earn while they learn, avoid crushing student debt, and graduate into a family wage career. Projects like this are how we grow the skilled workforce that literally builds our communities. And a project of this size has to be delivered responsibly, as we know. So phasing this work ensures that we can keep this project moving forward, keep people working, and keep a steady pipeline of construction jobs instead of stopping and starting. Because here's the bottom line. When we invest in infrastructure, we invest in workers, families, and economic growth. So moving forward with the Interstate Bridge Replacement means safer transportation, a stronger regional economy, and hundreds of workers, thousands of workers, getting the opportunity to do what they do best, and that is build this region. And the sooner we get this project going, the sooner the men and women I represent on the Washington side of the bridge can get to work, because we are also experiencing some record high numbers of unemployment right now. So I'm very, very happy that we are here and that we are moving forward. Thank you.
So we appreciate all those who spoke, and especially appreciate everybody who's here, who's been key partners, all along the line to get this done. And we're happy to take any questions that folks have. Yep.
I'm Alex Bauhart, from the Washington State Standard Oregon Capital Chronicle. I'm wondering, A, if you can tell us a little bit more about the timeline. The SEIS is not done. It was supposed to be done by now. And then the second is, how will the two states, Oregon and Washington, come up with the added $8 billion cost?
Well, we're going to do this in phases, right? So this isn't the first and won't be the last project that happens over phases as funding comes in. So, as I think I've made pretty clear, we're focused on right now with the funding that we have on those core set of projects. First thing to do is replace that bridge. That's essential for public safety, essential for jobs, essential for our economy. Get light rail in there. You heard pretty persuasively what impact light rail will have for this community. So we're going to focus with the funding we have and seeking more grants to focus on those core set of projects. But like many big projects, you do these things in phases as additional funding comes in. So that's how we'll deal with that. There was a specific question up front about, I think, timing. I'll defer to somebody else who can answer that. Thank you.
Carly Francis, Interim Program Administrator. So the FSEIS we are finalizing with the federal government actively now. We're anticipating that's going to come to fruition very shortly. There is a time period before it publishes, but we're expecting that and also the record of decision by the middle of this year. So that's the updated time frame.
A really quick follow-up, because I don't think it's absurd to ask about where the money is going to come from.
Yep.
Even if it's a phase, it's not the present phase. We were talking about tolls earlier in this project from $1.50 to $3.55. Can people in Oregon, Washington expect that the toll will be much higher than originally predicted to help pay for this?
Yeah, I think it's too soon to say. What we have is both treasurers from Oregon and Washington are crunching numbers around tolling. So we'll get more information there. So I'm certainly not going to get ahead of the experts who are crunching the numbers on that. That's number one. Number two, no, of course it's not absurd to ask about that. That's something we talk about all the time, what the costs are going to be. But it's also clear that many, many projects all across our state and all across the country go in phases. What's happening now with the costs for this project are not unusual. Right, costs go up, inflation goes up. All those things have an impact. So my job as governor is to make sure that we focus on what we can do right now and what's most important right now. And what's most important right now is taking the funding that we have, which is considerable, and building on the considerable momentum of having the fixed span structure from the Coast Guard, which is a true opportunity for us and is huge for us in going forward, and getting this bridge built. That's number one. Get light rail in there, get our economy going, and then take in phases as we go forward. Yes.
Is there any other way that you anticipate the project being altered?
Well, we have a whole process ahead of us, right? That'll be designed, et cetera. So again, I'm not going to get way ahead of that whole process. I think we're here to commit to and to say to everybody is we're going to build this bridge and get light rail in there. That's going to happen. And so obviously there's going to be 1,001 questions that need to get answered in the coming years, for sure. That design is going to be a part of it. But we're committed to this core part of this project right now, and we'll go forward in phases in additional years. Yeah.
Tacked on because there's a delay now to 2028?
The numbers are the numbers. We've laid those out, right? In fact, the costs that we put out there actually contemplate, right, has a significant cushion for volatility, right, for additional changes. So we have a significant cushion in those numbers that allow for things that could be unexpected and still allow us to go forward.
When I spoke with Mayor McInerney back in 2025, she said if we don't get construction in the water by 2027, we miss that window when the salmon are swimming up and down, and that means a full year delay until the next window of salmon, so to speak. And at $1 million a day delay, that continues to add $365 million to a project. Is that still
I can sound like that's for the mayor. It sounds like that. Yeah, I'll let, yeah. Yep.
So,
if you want to take that, Mayor, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happens. And as you look at the increase and you look at the base, then the risk and all of those flexibilities, that's exactly what has happened. And all of the individuals who are on this staff brought in those experts to look at what is happening and how does that timeline, the governor said inflation, but you're also talking about tariffs also. That delay has caused that increase because of that construction timeline.
So that was all included?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, why does this project have to have light rail when Clark County residents have historically been against light rail?
So look, I'm relatively new to this project, but I know how important light rail is, and I think you heard the comments earlier that laid out pretty clearly. Look, that literal and figurative train has left the station. We're going forward with light rail. And look, it's taken a ton of work, and I'm speaking as the new guy, okay, here, right? Oh, just to be clear. But even I know as the new guy in this process that it's taken a lot of work to get agreement on how we move forward. And everybody gives a little bit on that, right? Nobody gets everything they want on something of this scope. But that's an essential part of this. It's in there, and so we're moving forward. And look, I want to be clear. I'm not interested in looking backwards, okay? We're building this damn bridge. That's happening, okay? That's happening. And I get so So I get there's 1,000 questions about, hey, how we got to this exact moment, right? Not my focus, right? My focus is what dollars do we have, what agreements are in place, how are we moving forward. That's what's important. Delay is not our friend in this situation, and that's my focus. Yes.
On the topic of light rail, have there been any updates to the operations and maintenance of light rail yearly to that cost?
I'll defer to somebody else on that question. Yeah, okay. Once again, yeah, okay. Don't go too far away.
We continue to update the needs for operations and maintenance of light rail in conjunction with continuing to develop the design of light rail. So that will continue to adjust over time as we're understanding what service is needed and how we support that through operations and maintenance. So that number will continue to evolve.
In the interest of looking forward, will you and Governor Tina Kotek be much more on top of this project for the next, let's say, 9 months, given the history here? I'm wondering if you're going to assert any more authority than you have over this project, seeing as it's kind of gone off the rails.
Well, a couple things. So any more than I have, I've been on the job for 15 months, okay? In that time, respectfully, I'll disagree with the premise of the question. So when we had challenges getting river users to agree to a fixed span bridge, and that was going to be a huge challenge for us if they submitted testimony to the Coast Guard opposing a fixed span bridge, which would have killed that possibility, I didn't just ask my team to solve that problem. I met directly with those individuals and worked out and negotiated a deal. That's number one. Number two, I just hoped the Coast Guard would come through. I got on an airplane and flew back and met with Coast Guard leadership and made the case directly to them and worked closely with them, which I think, in fairness, helped contribute, along with lots of other partners and lots of other voices. But I think by any fair definition, I've been more than personally involved. I've been deeply involved in this. And so that's my personality. That's not going to change. Anybody who's spent 10 minutes with me knows I'm deeply invested in this project. My team knows that whenever they tell me how long it's going to take to do some part of this project, I ask, why can't we do it sooner? Okay? And that's going to be my mentality going forward. So I'm not going to speak about the past. That's for others to focus on that. That's a waste of time to me. Right, that's a waste of time, and we don't have any time to waste. Right, we have zero time to waste. So, appreciate the question, but the reason, in large part, we're here today, I think, is a renewed focus on moving forward, on getting that fixed span bridge, which was absolutely critical, and putting ourselves in a position to move forward.
Quick one. When are cars going to go across?
When are cars going to go across? Do we have a? Can we put a?
So construction is anticipated to begin in 2028, and it's a 6 to 7 year time frame until it's operational and up and available for folks. That timeline gets confirmed with the contractor as we have them on board, who have the means and methods to do the work, so we need to work with them to identify a specific time frame.
Yes.
As a Vancouver resident myself, we keep hearing that we need to do this now, to make the bridge safe. Should people be concerned when they're driving across this bridge right now? I take that bridge every single day, and if we're not going to get a new bridge starting construction until 2028, should people be taking the 205?
I don't think that's where we're at, but I think it's fair to say we can't wait any longer to replace this bridge. It's old, it's vulnerable, and needs to be replaced. And look, that's true. My friends in Washington State know I have lots of bridges in our state. I focused on that in this last legislative session. I'll spare you the details, but I was pretty focused on investments in our infrastructure for our bridges that are in poor condition to replace those. So it's not just this structure. All this one is obviously very high profile and has over 140,000 vehicles every single day going across it. But it's our responsibility to say, hey, we know we've got some vulnerabilities and we need to move as quickly as possible to fix those. Yeah. I think I can answer that one. Thank you. Yeah. Next question.
Now that you have a official price estimate, when will the final design be chosen, and when will a contractor be chosen?
Are you able to speak to that?
A little bit. So final design is a process that we work with a contractor. So we are looking to select a contractor in 2027 and work to final design. That process, because of the progressive design build process, can come forward in stages. So certainly you get final design before you're beginning work over the river, but there may be things that come on later than that. So targeting that all to do selection in 27, construction start in 28.
Awesome. Last question. Yeah, go for it.
In those dates that the community can't expect any more major delays, that we can see work start at that time?
How confident am I that we'll be moving forward in the way that we've outlined today?
In 2028 with construction.
Well, I guess what I would say is that we're committed to making that happen. Number one. Number two, we had a lot of conversations about, hey, what's the date we're putting out there to the public? And I'm a big believer in being clear and transparent about what our goals are and make sure we're doing everything we can to meet that to meet that goal. And so obviously we'll update if things change, but we have no intention of it changing, right? We're moving forward. We have the resources. We have the team in place, the commitment to do it. That's why everybody's here today. And so I feel confident we'll meet that deadline, and I can assure you I'll be doing everything in my power to make sure we meet that again. Thank you. We so appreciate you all being here. I think folks are available also afterwards if you have individual questions. I've got to get back to Olympia and sign some bills into law for my friends in the legislature, but I just want to wrap up by saying how much I appreciate, everybody who's here. And each person here represents a whole lot of other people, right? You all know that. And a special thank you to the workers who are going to make this thing a reality when the time comes, right? We're deeply appreciative to you and the hard work you do to make our economy work here in Washington and in Oregon. And it's, it's a big project, but it's historical. It's going to take a lot of work. We're going to have good days and we're going to have bad days ahead. That's just a fact when you have a project like this. But I just want to be really, really clear that I'm super committed to this. We'll be involved in the details. We'll be pushing forward very, very hard to make this a reality, and just really appreciate everybody being here today. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Yeah, thanks, everybody.